If you are over 60, there are a few quiet habits that could be slowly shortening your life right now. And most people don't even realize they're doing them. Not because they're careless, not because they're unhealthy, but because these mistakes feel normal. And that's what makes them dangerous. You see, in my years of practice, I've noticed something very consistent. The people who live longer, stronger, more independent lives, they don't just have better genes, they avoid a few very specific daily mistakes. And the ones who don't often start declining much earlier than expected. But here's the surprising part. These mistakes are not dramatic. They don't feel dangerous. In fact, they often feel harmless. That's why they're so easy to ignore. Let me tell you about someone I'll never forget. A kind, intelligent woman, retired school principal, very disciplined, very careful with her health. This woman is doing everything right, but she wasn't, and she didn't know it. One small moment, just a simple fall in her kitchen, started a chain reaction that nearly changed her life completely. Not because of the fall itself, but because of what it revealed. And what it revealed is something I now see in almost every patient over 65. So today, I want you to gently reflect on your own routine, because as we go through these, you may recognize something that could quietly be affecting you too. And if you do, that awareness alone can change everything. Now, let's begin with the first mistake. This one is extremely common and very easy to miss. It's what I call the medication multiplication trap. Now picture this for a moment. A simple bathroom cabinet. But inside, it looks more like a small pharmacy. One pill for blood pressure, another for cholesterol, something to help with sleep, maybe something for joint pain, and over time, it slowly adds up. Now here's where it gets risky. Each of those medications, on its own, may be perfectly fine, prescribed with good intention. But when several are taken together, they don't always cooperate. In fact, sometimes they start working against each other. Research shows that when someone takes 5 or more medications daily, the risk of side effects increases significantly. And not just mild ones. We're talking about dizziness, confusion, unexplained fatigue, even dangerous internal issues. But here's the part most people miss. These symptoms don't feel like medication problems. They feel like aging. So people say, I guess I'm just getting older. When in reality, their body may be reacting to a combination that no one has fully reviewed. And this happens more often than you think, because different doctors focus on different areas. One treats your heart, another treats your sleep, another treats your joints, but they may not always see the full picture together. And as we age, our body processes medications more slowly. So what once felt normal can slowly become too much. This is exactly what happened to Eleanor. She started feeling tired all the time. Not just tired, but deeply drained. She also noticed bruises appearing on her arms with no clear reason. At first, she ignored it, thought it was just part of getting older. But here's where everything changed. A pharmacist simply took a closer look, and what she found was concerning. Eleanor was taking 2 medications that affected her blood, prescribed by 2 different doctors. Without realizing, they were amplifying each other. And on top of that, she was taking a common pain reliever, which made things even more risky. She wasn't sick because of age. She was overwhelmed chemically. And this is more common than people realize. But here's the good news. The solution is surprisingly simple. Eleanor did something that I now recommend to every patient. She gathered every single medication, prescriptions, supplements, vitamins, put them all in one place, and reviewed them together with her doctor. That one step changed everything. Within months, her energy improved, the dizziness faded, the bruising stopped. She didn't need more treatment. She needed less confusion. So here's something gentle I want you to consider. The next time a new medication is suggested, pause for a moment and ask one simple question. Is this replacing something or just adding more? That question alone can protect you, because sometimes more medicine does not mean better health. Now, you might be thinking, if that's happening in the body, what else could be quietly affecting my health without me noticing? Well, this is where it gets even more surprising, because the next mistake is something many people believe is actually healthy, and it's sitting right now in kitchens all over the world. Now, let's talk about the second mistake. This one doesn't sit in your medicine cabinet. It sits in your kitchen. And this is where it gets surprising, because many of the foods people trust the most are quietly working against them. Not in a dramatic way, but slowly, day after day. I call this the invisible strain in your daily diet. Now let me ask you something gently. Have you ever picked up a product because it said low fat or sugar-free or heart healthy and thought, this must be a good choice? Most people do. Eleanor did too. Her pantry looked very responsible. Whole grain cereals, low-fat snacks, sugar-free drinks, canned soups for convenience. Everything looked correct. But here's where it gets risky. What's written on the front of the package is often very different from what's inside it. And research has been quietly showing this for years. Many processed foods, even the healthy ones, contain hidden sugars, excess salt, and chemical additives that slowly stress your body. Not all at once, but over time. Now here's the part most people never connect. These ingredients can create a low, constant strain inside your system. You may not feel it immediately, but you might notice your joints feel a little stiffer, your energy dips in the afternoon, your sleep feels lighter, your mind feels a bit foggy. And it's easy to say, that's just age. But sometimes, it's not age at all. It's what your body is dealing with every single day. Let me give you a simple example. That healthy breakfast cereal can sometimes contain as much sugar as a dessert. Those sugar-free drinks often rely on artificial sweeteners, which studies suggest may affect metabolism and even increase cravings. And those convenient canned soups can carry more salt than your body comfortably needs in an entire day. Now here's where it becomes even more important as we get older. Our bodies become more sensitive. What we could handle at 40 may slowly become a burden at 70. And there's something else very few people realize. It's not just about food, it's also about water. This is where many people quietly fall behind, because the natural sense of thirst becomes weaker with age. You simply don't feel it the same way anymore. So you drink less without noticing. Eleanor was the same. A cup of coffee in the morning, maybe tea later in the day, and she thought that was enough, but it wasn't. And this is where it gets dangerous. Even mild dehydration can lead to fatigue, dizziness, confusion, and in many cases, falls. In fact, research shows that dehydration is one of the most common hidden causes of hospital visits in older adults. But again, it doesn't feel obvious. It just feels like low energy. Now here's the turning point for Eleanor. Her daughter came to visit one weekend, and they did something very simple. They looked at the labels together. Not the front, the back, ingredient by ingredient. And what they saw surprised them. Things that looked healthy were filled with ingredients they didn't recognize. That moment changed how Eleanor saw her kitchen, not with fear, but with awareness. And her solution was beautifully simple. She didn't try to be perfect. She just made a few small shifts. She started choosing foods with fewer ingredients, things she could easily recognize. She added more natural colors to her meals, simple fruits, vegetables, and most importantly, she made a quiet promise to herself to drink water regularly before she even felt thirsty. Just that one habit began to change how she felt. Within weeks, her energy improved, her body felt lighter, her mind felt clearer. Not because she followed a strict diet, but because she removed what was quietly working against her. So here's something gentle you can try. The next time you pick up a packaged food, pause for a moment and turn it around. Read the ingredients slowly. If it feels confusing, your body may feel the same way. And just that small awareness can start shifting your health in the right direction. Now, you might be wondering, if something this simple can affect my body so much, what about my movement? What about how I use my body every day? Because the next mistake doesn't start in the kitchen. It starts in the mind. And once it begins, it quietly changes everything. Now, let's talk about the third mistake. This one is very quiet, but very powerful. Because it doesn't begin in your body, it begins in your mind. And once it starts, it slowly changes how you live. I call this the I need to be careful trap. Now, at first, it sounds wise, even responsible. You move a little slower, you avoid uneven ground, you hold the railing a bit tighter. But here's where it gets risky. When caution slowly turns into avoidance, this is exactly what happened to Eleanor. After her small fall in the kitchen, she didn't break anything, but something inside her changed. Not her body, her confidence. She began telling herself, I just need to be more careful. So she started doing less. She avoided stairs when she could, walked shorter distances, stayed inside more often. It felt like protection, but it wasn't. It was the beginning of the silent decline. And this is something I see very often. Because here's the truth most people don't realize. When you move less, your body adapts to that. Muscles slowly weaken, balance becomes less stable, and your body forgets what it used to do easily. Research shows that after the age of 50, we naturally begin losing muscle strength each year, unless we actively use it. So when fear causes you to move less, that natural decline becomes faster. And here's the painful irony. The less you move, the more likely you are to fall again. So the very thing you're trying to avoid becomes more likely. Now pause for a moment. Have you ever noticed something like this? Getting up from a chair feels slightly harder. Climbing stairs takes more effort, or you feel a bit less steady than before. These are not just age signs. They are signals. Your body is asking to be used. Eleanor didn't realize how far this had gone until one moment changed everything. Her grandson ran toward her, arms open, wanting to be picked up. And she had to say no. Not because she didn't want to, but because she felt she couldn't. That moment stayed with her. It wasn't about strength. It was about losing something meaningful. That's when she decided to change. Not dramatically, just simply. She started with small movements, standing on one foot while brushing her teeth, slowly sitting down and standing up from her chair, gentle stretching before bed. Nothing intense, but consistent. And here's the beautiful part. The body responds at any age. Within weeks, she felt more stable. Within months, she felt stronger. And slowly, that fear began to fade. She didn't need perfection, she just needed movement. So here's something I want you to remember. Your body does not ask for intensity, it asks for consistency. Even small daily movement can rebuild strength, restore balance, and protect your independence. Now, let's move to the fourth mistake. It doesn't weaken your body first. It quietly affects your spirit. And many people don't notice it until it's already taken hold. It's something we all need, but often take for granted: connection. After Eleanor retired, she looked forward to peace. No busy schedules, no constant demands, just quiet. And at first, it felt good. But slowly, that quiet became something else. Days passed with very little conversation. Small interactions became even smaller. And one morning, she noticed something that deeply unsettled her. She was speaking more to her pet than to other people. Now, this might sound simple, but it's not. Because here's what research has been quietly showing. Long-term loneliness can affect your health in ways similar to serious physical risks. It can weaken your immune system, increase stress in the body, and even affect memory and thinking. But here's why it becomes more common with age. Life changes. Work routines disappear. Friends move away. Families get busy. And without noticing, your circle becomes smaller. And when that happens, the mind and body both feel it. Eleanor began forgetting small things, misplacing items, feeling less motivated. But what concerned her most was a feeling she couldn't fully explain. She said, "I feel like I'm slowly fading, not physically, but emotionally." And that feeling is something many people carry quietly. But here's the hopeful part. Connection doesn't require big changes. It begins with something very small. Eleanor started by simply talking more, not just greeting neighbors, but stopping, asking, listening. Those small moments turned into longer conversations. Then she began meeting a few people regularly, just once a week, nothing complicated. And slowly, her world opened again. Her energy improved, her mood lifted, her mind felt sharper. Not because of medicine, but because of connection. So here's something gentle to try. Think of one person, just one, you haven't spoken to in a while. And reach out. A simple call, a short conversation can do more than you expect. Because your mind needs connection just as much as your body needs movement. Now, we've talked about the body, we've talked about connection, but there's one final mistake that may be the most powerful of all, because it shapes how you see yourself and what you believe is possible. And once you understand this one, everything begins to change. Now, let's talk about the fifth mistake. This one is very subtle, but it may be the most powerful of all, because it doesn't just affect what you do, it affects what you believe. And that belief quietly shapes your future. I call this the "this is just aging" belief. Now, you've probably heard it before, maybe even said it yourself. I'm getting older. This is normal. Forgetting names, misplacing things, walking into a room and wondering why. It happens. But here's where it gets risky. When you start believing that decline is unavoidable, because once that belief settles in, something important begins to change. You stop challenging yourself. You stop learning new things. You accept small changes without questioning them. And slowly, your mind begins to do less. Now, here's what research has been showing more clearly in recent years. The brain, even in later life, is far more adaptable than we once believed. It can form new connections, strengthen existing ones, and continue learning well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. But there's one condition: it needs to be used, just like a muscle. If you stop using it, it slowly weakens, not because of age alone, but because of inactivity. This is exactly what Eleanor experienced. At first, it was small things: forgetting a word, losing track of a thought, nothing alarming. But then one day, something happened that shook her deeply. She was speaking with her daughter, and for a brief moment, she couldn't remember her granddaughter's name. Just a few seconds, but it felt much longer. And another time, she got confused while driving on a route she had taken for years. She pulled over, feeling lost and afraid. In that moment, she thought something was seriously wrong. She believed this was the beginning of decline. But here's the surprising part: it wasn't the beginning of decline. It was the result of disengagement. Her mind had slowly become less active, less challenged, less stimulated, and once she understood that, everything changed. She made a simple decision: to start using her mind again, not in a stressful way, but in a curious way. Each morning, she spent a few minutes solving simple puzzles. In the afternoon, she began learning something new. At first, just small things, then something bigger: a new language, something she had always been curious about. And slowly, something remarkable began to happen. Her confidence returned, her memory improved, her thinking felt sharper. And here's something even more interesting. Studies suggest that physical movement, especially walking, can support brain health in powerful ways. So she combined both movement and mental activity, and over time, she didn't just feel better, she functioned better. Her mind became more alert, more responsive, more alive. So here's something I want you to gently consider. The moment you believe your mind cannot improve is the moment it begins to slow down. But the moment you challenge that belief, even slightly, your brain begins to respond. So try something simple. Read something new. Learn a small skill. Even change your routine slightly. Not to prove anything, but to stay engaged. Because your mind is still capable of more than you think. Now, if we take a step back and look at everything we've talked about today, a pattern begins to appear. These 5 mistakes, they are not loud. They don't demand attention. They quietly become part of daily life. More medications, processed foods, less movement, less connection, and limiting beliefs. Individually, they seem small, but together, they shape how we age. Eleanor was on that same path. Without realizing it, she was slowly moving toward decline. But once she became aware, she made small, steady changes. Not overnight, not perfectly, but consistently. She simplified her medications. She adjusted her diet. She moved her body. She reconnected with people, and she challenged her mind. And those simple steps changed her direction completely. Today, she is stronger, more confident, more engaged, not because she avoided aging, but because she understood it. And that's the real message here. Aging itself is not the problem. The real risk is what we quietly accept as normal. So now, I want to ask you something simple. After hearing all of this, what is one small change you feel ready to make? It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's drinking more water, moving a little more each day, calling someone you've been thinking about, or simply becoming more aware. Whatever it is, acknowledging it is the first step. And if this resonated with you in any way, just type yes in the comments. Not for me, but for yourself. A small moment of awareness. Who might quietly be going through these changes? Share this with them. Sometimes the right message at the right time can make all the difference. Take care of yourself. Stay aware, stay active, stay connected, and I'll see you again very soon.